How is it, just from a human standpoint this week? Is there stress for you in terms of obviously coaching as a profession where you don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next? I know you're laser focused with the game that's next. That's how coaches think.
Yeah.
But is there any personal stress for you of what does the future hold? Does it ever enter your mind?
No. No, I don't. I mean, it's part of what we do. It's part of our profession, good, bad. I mean, it's just kind of what we sign up for. So, again, I told you guys, it's not worth wasting time worrying about things or thinking about that. And going to go try to win a ball game this week and worry about everything else after that.
You're a coach in the league, you probably had to go through a handful of times where it's uncertain near the end of the season. How have you handled it in the past?
Same way. I mean, really, it's again, try to give everybody, give this team and give the organization everything I have, and I'm going to keep doing that till the last whistle blows. And like you said, I mean, this is my fourth team in however many years, so it's just part of what we do. You have good seasons, you have not as good seasons, and you just try to keep playing through all of them and worry about that when the time comes.
What do you think you told your guys not to worry about it?
What's that?
I didn't understand what you meant by it. You told your guys not to worry about it.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh.
So I try not to worry about it. We're trying to go win a ball game. I mean, I'm just trying to focus on Buffalo and having a good end of the season and finishing strong.
At certain times, each of your defensive tackles have had some good moments. Obviously, Taylor was impactful. We've seen moments from Devon, from Akeem. But do you believe, as you look back, that the position was adequately filled after the team moved on from Sue?
I think those guys played hard all season, and I mean, that's, again, I try not to worry about all those things about filling spots and that. Like, our roster's built, and those are guys we're going to go win ball games with, and all those D tackles have played well at times, and had some slip ups at times, and I think Devon's actually played. Devon played really well last week, and I think he's I think he hit a little bit low in the season. I think he's had a good last couple of weeks. That's been encouraging, for him to see and for him to kind of take that step. And Vincent obviously showed some good signs early before his injury. So happy with the effort those guys have given. And again, even like the guys like Ziggy and Sly that have come in late and what they've done for us. So yeah, I'm happy with those guys and what they've done for us this year.
I wanted to ask you, how personal do you take it that you have the 30th ranked defense? I mean, it is your unit. You're the one making the calls.
Yeah.
You don't decide the personnel, but it's still the 30th ranked defense.
Yeah? By what rankings?
Yardage.
Yeah. I don't worry about all that stuff. Again, you guys worry about a lot of stats. I'm trying to win ball games. Obviously, we didn't win enough this year. We're going to try to go win one more. But again, all the end of season retrospective stuff, I don't get into that and worrying about my rankings and this and that. And after each game, we evaluate what we think went right and wrong and try to fix it week to week. And then we'll take a step back after the season and try to see how we can kind of hopefully play better next year.
So today, Adam was talking about the last 6 weeks or so, you try to ramp up Cameron Wake's snaps per game because you're getting closer to the end of the season. So last week he only played like 19 snaps, or 40% of the snaps. And
19? Are you sure that's right? Okay. Let's see.
Cameron Wake, I'm sorry, 30 snaps, 45% of the snaps.
Okay.
Which was, I think, the low among the defensive ends.
Okay.
We're at the end of the season. What are you saving them for?
I'm not saving them for anything. We have a rotation. Cam is 36 years old. So we're, trying to make sure, there's a fine line, I think, with Cam in terms of, number of plays and what we're trying to get out of him. And really, to be honest with you, to some extent, I mean, Cam informs us of kind of where he's at. And if Cam wants to be on the field, he's going to be on the field, and we're trying to keep him fresh. And obviously, I'm sure those 30 snaps, every single one of the third downs, he was on the field. And, we try to spot him in other places. I mean, that's kind of our approach with all our D linemen in terms of rotating those guys and keeping them fresh. And so, I mean, I'm not sure that necessarily because it's the end of the season, we're just ramping them up. I mean, I think there's a give and take with, at some point, there's too many snaps for all those guys, not just Cam. So we just try to keep those guys fresh and rotate them through. And obviously Cam's the guy we want in the field in critical situations and keep him fresh towards the end of the game and the third downs and the stuff that where we're trying to get him loose on. So, I mean, again, Chris does a good job handling those guys and working all that group in a rotation. I don't have any problem with the way Cam's been going.
How involved were you in personnel selection last offseason? Like, I know they saw your input on Quinn and other things, but were you actively involved in every defensive player who was brought in?
Yeah, look, it's organizational decisions for all that stuff. I mean, they ask opinions. I give them my opinions. I'm not sure I have final say on anything, but between Chris and Adam and all the guys in the pro personnel department, everything. I mean, that's just there's conversations that are constantly going on, and I offer my input, and again, sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't. I mean, that's not my role necessarily. I mean, I give them where I think guys will fit in our scheme and how we can utilize them and what we're trying to do from a defensive standpoint. And again, those are decisions that are made on a bigger picture scale than that.
And I ask because Adam has never given any player he doesn't want because he controls the offensive personnel. Is that ever the case with you, where you're giving players you don't necessarily want?
No, I don't look at it like that. I'll take all the players and give them all to me. So, I mean, any players that ends up on our roster, I'm happy to have. So, like I said, I mean, all those decisions, draft, free agency, all those things, I mean, those are organizational conversations that are ongoing, that are constantly ongoing. And I think Chris does a really good job of coming down and saying, hey, these are the spots that we got, or hey, we had an injury that we need to replace, and these are kind of the list of guys that we're looking at. And we bring guys in for workouts during the season. Everybody's in there, and again, it's really a group conversation about, okay, hey, look, this is what we need to fill on defense, or this is what I think we're missing on defense, and okay, here's the options, and how can we help fill that? So, again, those are constant, ongoing conversations. So, I mean, I have input, into all those decisions.
From the first game of the season to now, can you think of maybe two players who you feel have made excellent progress, growth, and improvement in their skill and performance?
Sure. I think Raekwon's one of them. It stands out. I think he's shown a lot of growth, especially probably the last 6 weeks or so has played really well for us. Even last week with, Kiko not being able to go for us, stepping into like a nickel role and doing some of those things, kind of expanding his word a little bit, had the microphone on him, those sort of things. So from a leadership standpoint, and really from a run game standpoint, he's been really good. Obviously, I know his tackle numbers have been up and those sort of things, but just fitting runs and being stout and playing square and those sort of things, I've been really, really happy just from kind of an overall package with Raekwon for sure. So that's been good to see. Really, both the young linebackers, Bake's been another guy. He kind of gets to it a different way sometimes, but from a running and hitting standpoint and that sort of thing. But I think Raekwon's shown a lot of progress throughout the whole season from start to finish, and especially, again, like I said, the last sort of month plus. I just probably feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't point out, obviously Jalen getting some work last week for the first time. Davis, really first extended play that he's had and was productive and energetic and in the right spot and stuff. So that was really cool to see and kind of actually brought some energy and juice. And maybe in a different sort of way to say this, but Mike Hall, I want to kind of point him out what he did last week. Playing 40-plus snaps kind of on the spot, and really didn't know until about 20 minutes before kickoff that he was going to go. And that's really the first defense that Mike Hall's played in a long time and had a great game. Played really good, so I was really excited for him to step in and do that. So just from last week, those two performances, really appreciate the efforts of the guys. That, again, Jalen, a guy that hadn't had a lot of work all year and got to get in and get some playing time, and Mike Hall kind of put on the spot last minute and really perform well. So, but I think all our young guys, just in general, that like I said, I think anytime you're getting reps and getting work and getting game time action, obviously Minka having to flip around a bunch of different spots and do that, as a rookie's been impressive and what he's been able to go through. And I think Charles, Harris getting a sack last week and starting to play a little bit better and play faster, so I think just a lot of our young guys, like I said, I think Godchow from kind of hit a little lull in the middle of the season, and the last kind of month has been good. So all our young guys, I think, again, just the more they play and the more experience they get, they're all sort of showing that progress through season. So I've been pleased with, we've had to play a lot of younger guys at times, and they've all kind of been progressing to a point where we feel pretty good about them.
How do you explain, I guess we asked you this last year, the sacks and the number when we look at the end of the year, and what's your explanation as to why there isn't more?
Probably the same what I tell you last year.
It's not about sacks.
There you
It's
go.
about pressure.
There you go. Same thing. Yeah, I mean, look, we've been disruptive. Again, we've tried to cause turnovers, those sort of things. I mean, we're not chasing sacks. We're trying to be disruptive. And again, sometimes even disruption for us, like, I think I mentioned it last week, the week before. I mean, disruption for us sometimes is, them having to keep extra guys in a block on offense and not getting extra guys out in the routes because they're worried about our ends and those sort of things. So, again, we're not trying not to chase stats and worry about where my rankings are or what the defense is this. I mean, again, it's, what is an offense trying to do to us? What are we trying to do to take away what they do best and how that goes? And so, I feel like our defensive ends and Cam and Robert and Branchy and all those guys are threats to an offense. And you talk to a lot of guys we play after games, and that's all they talk, man, 90, 91, 94, like those guys are all worried about them. So, obviously offenses are counting for our rush, and that affects how they play. And, again, I think that just shows up for us in other areas. So, I mean, sacks an easy number. I'm not saying that we don't want sacks. I probably said that last year too, like I'll take the sacks. But, it's not something that we're like chasing. We're worrying about how they impact the game.
Couple more.
Yeah, sure.
Can you rank them in it?
Sure.
Because,
You want more clarity.
No, not on that.
Okay.
So because of his age, folks pay attention to level of play.
Yeah.
Have you seen a consistent level of play, and do you see that continuing maybe into next year?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball. I've seen a consistent level of play from Cam. He's been good in the run game, throwing his body in there, setting edges for us. Obviously had production last week in the rush game. I haven't seen any drop off for him. I can't predict what Cam wants to do or what's going to happen in the future, but he's been a steadily productive player for us this whole season, age or not, probably because we're helping him with some of his snap counts.
Would you want to run a Matt Burke defense?
Yes.
Okay.
So, to clarify what you said earlier, you said Cam indicates to you where he's at, and if you want to go in, you go in.
Mm-hmm.
So Cam can decide when he goes in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, done. So that's it. Yeah.
Is Jalen Davis almost exclusively like a slot nickel guy, or could he actually maybe one day play outside?
Yeah, I don't know. That's where he's kind of been focusing for us, obviously, right now. He played outside a little bit in college. Obviously, he's a little on the shorter end, so whatever issues that may show. But I tell you what, he's a competitive, tough kid. It wasn't too big for him. It hasn't been too big for him. He'll go in there and bite your face off, wherever you put him. So I honestly, just from an attitude and approach standpoint, I wouldn't count him out from anywhere. So, and I think again that showed when we got him some action last week, and hopefully we can keep developing him along that way.
You've got guys that maybe aren't the ideal fit for what they're asked to do in their position. How do you go about putting guys who may not be a fit for your scheme or what you ask them to do?
Well, I've always been a believer in, as a coach, like it's our job to put the players in the right spots. It's not like this is my scheme and you're not the right player, so you can't play in my scheme. I mean, to me, that's not good coaching. So to say that they're not a scheme fit, what we try to do is say, okay, these are the skill sets of the players that we have available, and how can we deploy those guys and utilize them to our best advantage. So, I mean, to say that a guy's not a scheme fit, like, to me, that's not, I don't know, that's lazy coaching. You know what I mean? For me, it's to say, okay, this is the guys that we have. This is the guys that we have. How do we use them? I mean, again, I told you guys last week, I try not to come in here and make excuses and say, oh, this guy's this, or we got screwed by this call, or this happened. Like, that's not what we do. We say, man, we got these guys up on game day, and how can we win a ball game with them? So all our guys that we try to utilize in those roles and play and put them in the right spots to win a ball game and be successful. So I think it's our job to utilize our players' skill sets as much as fitting them into a scheme.
And free safety is best Minka?
He's been pretty good there. How's that? It's a spot. It's a good spot for him.
It's a good spot. I
The
like
best.
Staples.
Okay, well, we'll put that into the off-season decision-making process. How's that?
Look, 77 tackles.
How's that?
77 tackles for
Yeah?
a guy who's everywhere.
All right, make sure we write that down. I'll make sure I go tell those guys. We good?
Would you
Oh.
say you run the classic wide nine, like still?
Classic wide nine. Never heard that before. We utilize wide nines. We have a lot of different fronts. I mean, if you guys actually watch some of the stuff that we do, and we probably have a lot of fronts that people don't realize. So that's an element of what we do for sure. Obviously, that's a foundation of kind of where I started and with Jim Schwartz and that system. But again, we got to change fronts and do different things, whether it's for players to fit what we're trying to do, or for a certain scheme or runs or fronts that we're playing against. So yeah, there are elements of that, but we're a multi-front defense.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it. All year.